So, because of a migrant crisis that is now projected to cost New York City $12 billion, Mayor Eric Adams has announced budget cuts that are going to severely cut back on the city's police department right in the middle of a big crime wave. So what's that going to do to a city that's losing billions already in revenue from businesses fed up with higher taxes, regulations, and, of course, the crime situation? Joining me now to talk about that is New York City Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. It says Upstate. New York City. New York City. It's New York. And we're going to compare, by the way, New York as a state to Florida, just to talk about the bureaucracy. But that's really the problem. There's just too much government. And instead of firing all those six-figure middle managers that do nothing, basically, they're firing cops in the middle of a crime. I mean, it makes no sense at all.
Exactly. I mean, New York's government, our budget is more than double the Florida budget, and yet they have no income tax. And they continue to thrive and grow, and it doesn't. And the New Yorkers don't get it. They just the Albany government, far left, all controlled by Democrats now. Even Governor Hochul faces a veto-proof majority. All they do is raise taxes, add more and more regulations, more ridiculous laws, and actually they've created the crime problem with cashless bail, the HALT Act, which applies to corrections officers and prisoners who are impossible to handle. And she just signed a few days ago the Clean Slate Act, which will now eliminate anyone's criminal record. So if you want to find out about someone, whether you're going to hire them, where they've been in terms of charging someone, if they're a repeat offender, all that is eliminated because of Kathy Hochul's terrible pro-criminal policies.
And it's happening, we should say, this is not limited to New York, obviously. It's happening in L.A., San Francisco, Chicago, and the whole states. We've been playing all of these differences between New York and Florida. New York has a better, I think actually that should be switched. But the point is, New York has a better economy than, Florida has a better economy than New York. It has about the same number of people. The income tax in Florida.
There's actually more people in Florida.
A little more.
There's 2 million more.
So,
at least.
An economy that is growing and a government that's half the size of the government in New York. So we know why it's not working. Is there any chance that the voters will wise up and vote in the people who could do the right thing?
Well, you know, the voters are starting to come around and realizing how terrible it is. In these last, these elections that were local elections mostly, we actually won a seat in the Bronx in the city council. We did really well on Long Island. We had some big wins upstate because people are starting to wake up in the local elections. But look, it's coming. We've got to change the state legislature. We've got to chip away at the state assembly. We've got to take back at least close to a majority in the state senate, or nothing's going to change. And you have a governor that is just shamelessly sucking up, for lack of a better term, to these far left people driving the agenda. And, you know, all of it is bumper stickers. You know, they defund the police. Well, I added demoralize. All this stuff is just really harmful, and they've turned it into policy. Our energy agenda is, I mean, it's an impossible standard that they're trying to have us meet.
Yes.
You're going to see people starve, go out of business, and leave the state in droves if they're to enforce what they want to do with this climate
By the way,
agenda.
they're not just focusing on stoves now. Now they're talking about heating your home with electric heat, which, one, is too expensive. A lot of people can't afford it compared to gas heat particularly. And two, the fact is that we have our electrical grids totally overwhelmed by what's happening, by the fact that they're not being run properly. So you have less electricity costing more, which means we're going to have brownouts and blackouts, right?
Well, absolutely. Well, we don't. As you continue to cut fossil fuels, of which 60 or 70% of the total state of New York is dependent on some kind of fossil fuel, whether it's coal, natural gas, heating oil, propane. The rest is nuclear power, which is emission-free, but there's only 3 nuclear power sites left in the state, and they're all in my district, which is northern New York on the Ontario, Lake Ontario. So right now, New York City is dependent on natural gas. They consume more natural gas than upstate New York, yet we can't use any of the natural resources we have, the shale gas drilling in the southern tier. You know, we could do responsible gas drilling and actually to provide some prosperity, provide some security for our country, and actually help New Yorkers. That's one way to add jobs, add energy. We're not going to run and grow our economy without having reliable, affordable energy. We have great water, we have a lot of good things, but without energy, you know, that's an important component.
I want to quickly touch on Biden's student loan bailouts. Of course, the Supreme Court said you can't do it. He kept chipping away at it. He keeps putting in these new plans, which are filled with all kinds of fraudulent clauses. There's a new GAO report out that talks about the fraud in these things. Debtors are asked to self-report their income, and of course, they're claiming that they make much less than they do, so that the middle class is essentially bailing out a lot of rich people.
Absolutely.
Right?
About 87% of Americans do not have student loans. But the student loan program, the GAO saw that it's $430 billion that Biden was trying to forgive, overturned by the Supreme Court, as you properly said. But of those people, 16 million have loans. 12 million of the 16 million were not asked to provide any kind of income statement or income proof that they're actually eligible for the taxpayers that are going to put you on this loan program that they now want to forgive. So really, those are just basic standard fraud procedures that you would put in place. Having an income proof, none of that is being done, which just shows you how irresponsible the Department of Education is, because we all remember 30 years ago, we said we wanted to make student loans affordable, so we turned it into a federal program. College is more unaffordable than ever now because of this program.
And it's more expensive, but at the same time, you wonder what kind of education kids are getting when you look at what's happening with their discussion of the Israeli problems
Absolutely.
right now.
Yeah.
Claudia Tenney, great to see you. Thank you very much for being here, Congresswoman.
Thanks. Great to see you, and Semper Fi.
Semper Fi to your son, too. I appreciate
thank you.
that.